lesson objective for today. Well, the essential question is, can I envision myself at college? And when I say college, I'm not just thinking college. I am also thinking about any post-secondary education, and we'll talk about what that is in just a second. But can you see yourself going on after high school to get more education? By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand some basic vocabulary related to college, and you'll be able to talk about some basic common college experiences. My goal is for you to be able to start to think about what it would be like for you to go on after high school. And the reason we do this is we know that you are more likely to get a job if you get some training after high school, whether that be going to college, which is what I'm going to talk about today, or if it's going to a trade school, or if it's even getting a certificate. Any education that you can get after high school is going to help you. So today we're going to talk specifically about college, but we will get into some of the other options down the road, so no worries there. And for our core standards, we're going to do 13.1.11F, and that has to do with understanding the relationship between career choices and career preparation. In other words, what choices do you have based on how you prepare for your future? So first, what is post-secondary education? Well, if you've had me before, we have gone over this, but just as a quick review, post-secondary education is any type of education that happens after high school. So a good example of post-secondary education would be going to college or going to a trade school. Other examples could be if you had your CNA, your Certified Nursing Assistant, if you went and got that certificate, a vocational program. Let's say that you decided that you wanted to become an electrician and you got some sort of certificate or license to become a trade person, or any sort of associate's degree. So all of those things would count as post-secondary education. So today we're going to talk about a few words or concepts that would be important to understand, and we're going to focus in on college today, although a lot of these terms could also apply for trade school or if you were thinking about going to a community college. Now, with credit, you should already be familiar with what a credit is. This is a concept that we went over one of the first weeks of the semester or the marking period. And a credit is a unit that measures your progress towards earning a degree. So if you recall, when we were talking about high school, you need 21 credits in order to graduate. Well, do you want to take a guess at how many credits you need to get your undergraduate degree? And your undergraduate degree would be 4 years. Typically 4 years. Sometimes it takes people a little bit longer. But do you want to take a guess as to how many credits that would be? Well, it is 120. And before you start thinking, oh my goodness, how can I get 120 when it takes me 4 years to get 21? Well, it works a little bit different in college. In college, each class is worth 3 credits. So if you had an English class, that would be worth 3 credits, whereas when you're in high school, that is worth 1 credit. Now, you might have some electives in college that count for fewer credits, and it has to do with how many hours you put into the course. So if you meet with the class once a week, or if you meet several times, and there's a few factors that go into deciding how many credits each class is worth. But generally speaking, most core classes are either 3 or some are 4 credits. So that is how you can get up to 120 because they're worth more than what the classes are worth when you're in high school. So colleges usually offer some sort of room and board. And what that means is the room would be obviously your dorm room or where you're staying, and then the board has to do with what you're eating. So at college, a lot of times there's different plans that you can choose. You could have just breakfast only. You could have breakfast and dinner. You could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but during the weekdays only. You could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner during the weekdays and the weekend. So there's all kinds of different options. And one of the things that you can do is you can work for the college. They have all kinds of programs where students can work. And then sometimes these things are free. So, for example, when I went to college, I worked on the dorm floor, like in my residence hall, I worked there. And then my living was free and my food was free. So, there's lots of different things that you can do once you're admitted to college to make it a lot more cost effective. But room and board is something that you always want to consider because even though it might seem a little bit expensive to pay for it up front, just think you don't have to do any grocery shopping. The food is always prepared for you. And I can tell you the food is fantastic. It is not like your high school cafeteria food or your middle school cafeteria food, if that's what you remember. It is not like that at all. It is wonderful. So just lots of different options and lots of different ways to pay for that. So you're thinking about college. One of the questions that comes up most often is where am I going to live? Well, a dorm or residence hall is where most freshmen live, and freshmen that would be your first year. Some colleges require that freshmen live in the dorm or the residence hall their first year. And what that is it's a type of housing and it is owned by the university. It's on campus. And usually two or more students live in a room together. You might share a bathroom, or it might be the type of situation where you share a room and then the bathroom is down the hall. But it's a type of housing that they can put a whole lot of college students in one place and you can all live there together. Now, some dorms or residence halls are co-ed, which means your neighbor could be a male, man or woman. Some are by floor, so they might have a floor of all guys and a floor of all women. Some entire buildings are male or female. So it really depends on where you go. And then even when you go there, it also depends on which residence hall you select. So when you're thinking about going to college and when you get accepted, they'll actually ask you questions about what type of residence hall you'd like to live in, and then you get to specify and let them know what you would prefer. So while we're talking about dorm rooms, should you commute or live on campus? And there are choices. So if you want to live on campus, then you would probably stay in a dorm. And here's some pictures of what typical dorm rooms look like. But another way that you could do college is you could commute. And what that means is that you would live at home or live in an apartment, live somewhere off campus, and then every day you would drive or take the bus to the college campus, take your classes, and then you would just go home. So you have the choice. There's benefits to each, there's disadvantages to each, but that's one of the things that you can choose when you go to college. Do you want to live there or do you want to commute to college? And while we're talking about dorm rooms, I just wanted to show you a couple from colleges in Pennsylvania. So Penn State, first one over here, we have a picture of a dorm room, and then I also picked one from Temple, and I picked one from IUP, which is where I went to my for undergraduate, which is in Indiana University of Pennsylvania. But they all look pretty much the same. It is a small space to be living, but it actually works out okay. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's no way I could live with somebody right there, well, it does work out, and there's a lot of activities and things that you can do in college. So it's not like you're sitting in that room all the time. One of the first questions that you will be asked if you go to college is, what is your major? And a major is a subject or field of study that you choose, and that represents what your main interest is. So my major was psychology, and when I went to IUP, I had a lot of psychology classes, although you have to take classes in just about everything. You have English, math, science, and you get the same things that you get in high school, you just get more of them when you go to college. But then you pick a major, and that is the thing that you're focusing on the most. Matriculate. This is a word that a lot of people misunderstand. And what matriculate means is to enroll. So you would matriculate into a college. Now, the word that people confuse matriculate with is graduate. So when you matriculate, that means that you're enrolled as a student. So if you hope to matriculate at a certain school, it means that you want to be a student there. If you are matriculated, that means that you are a student there. It does not mean graduate. or graduation. So good vocabulary word to know, but it's also when you are accepted into college, you will be able to matriculate there. Now, prerequisite, this is another word that we use in high school, but it also has implications in college. So prerequisite is something that you take before you take something else. So I would say that passing English 9 is a prerequisite for taking English 10. When you're in college, there's going to be some classes that you need to take first. Even if they might not be the things that you're most interested in, there are some classes, usually your English 101, there's probably a Math 101. There's classes that you'll need to take first. And then after you pass those classes, then you are allowed to take more classes in whatever topic or whatever course or whatever major you select. So to wrap things up, why does a post-secondary education matter? Why talk about these things? Well, any education you get beyond high school will make it easier for you to get a job. It will prepare you for a career. So instead of just having a job, you will have a career. It will help you be more likely to make more money. So the more education you get, the more money you get. And then also it gives you a chance to advance in your career. So even if you're able to do a specific career, sometimes you need to have the education just for them to even offer you the next step up or to advance. So getting an education is so important, and I hope it's something that you guys will all be considering, at least some education after high school. And remember, post-secondary education is what you do after school. So we are looking at community colleges, certificate programs, technical schools, state schools, colleges, universities, all different kinds of options. So there are more than just what I talked about today, but lots and lots of things out there for you guys. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.